Let's do this. Hello! If you don't know who I am Megan. I am 1/3 of the board game stream Board Game House, where we play board games on the internet for you! This is the second installment of a new YouTube series that we're starting up, Diary of a First-Time DM. That's me. I'm the first-time DM. Last time I talked, I didn't have any sort of rails or bullet points or anything, and some people would say that that is not being prepared. Those people would be right. Today, I have bullet points. Holy crap! I have a few topics that I wanted to talk about today that I'm super scared about, but, you know, I've kind of already announced that this thing is happening, so I guess I'm doing it. Yeah. But it's gonna be a good time, and we're gonna have a good time, and everything's gonna be fine. It's all gonna be fine. So the first thing I really wanted to talk about is player enjoyment. I am terrified that my players aren't gonna have a good time, mostly because my players all play D&D on the regular. They all love D&D. They love any type of RPG. It doesn't have to be just Dungeons and Dragons. They've all played different types of RPGs. So, me being the anxious mess that I am, if they don't like it, it's because I did something wrong. Obviously, this is an absolutely ridiculous way to think about things, but that's, who I am. But also, most of my players have been playing games that are open world. They're not done with modules. And this one is a module. And I'm really scared that, with this being on Rails and them feeling like they don't have the freedom to create this world, is that going to make their level of enjoyment less? I really hope not. I haven't finished reading the campaign yet, but it's super fun what I've read so far. So hopefully I can do it justice and I can present it in a way that is going to be engaging and is going to keep their attention. Which, brings me into my next point. Because this is a module and not something of my own creation, I have certain aspects that I'm supposed to present. They are put in these nice little neat boxes and says, these are things that your players need to know. These are things that you need to say. Which I super appreciate. I need that kind of stuff. But at the same time, how do I put my own descriptions of things, followed by their description of things, followed by my own description of things, without people realizing that this was something in the book that I was supposed to read, and it's really obvious that this was something in the book that I was supposed to read. How do I get past that? How do I do continuity of me improving things or having things written down and what is written for me already within the module itself? I've gotten some advice from people, saying write things in your own, paraphrase it. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I don't know if that is something that I feel comfortable doing, because I feel like Deck of Many Things wrote this, and I feel like those are things that need to be said. But that's me being a weirdo. But I feel like in some way I'm going to have to be able to translate what is in the book into something that I would say, or that is my own way of speaking, which we all know at this point is a little different. It can be anyway. I also have to remember that I don't need to have everything memorized. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people think DMs have to do. they have to have their everything memorized. But there are definitely things that I'm going to have written down beforehand. Otherwise, it is going to be an absolute train wreck. You know, I could have this idea of what this cave looks like, and when I go to do it with improving, it's just going to be like, it's a dark cave. There are rocks. You enter. That's not fun. It's not descriptive. It's kind of descriptive. It's sort of descriptive, but it's not what needs to be said. So I feel like the best way to circumvent that is to write it down and have something ready that sounds right and makes sense and is super descriptive for my players. On top of all of this, I am also having to deal with time management, something that I'm not good at on my own. Just as a human, I'm not good at time management. So how am I going to be able to, on the fly, adjust things so that, we're not sitting in for a 5-hour session because this super simple puzzle, or a super simple puzzle that I thought, was super simple, is going to take an hour versus like the 10 minutes that I had allotted for it, because we all have had those moments, especially whenever, you get the answer and you're like, seriously, did I really not think of that? Knowing my players, they do like to make things a little harder than it needs to be. Usually I'm one of those people too. So it'll be interesting to sit on the other side of that and hope that my clues and things can get them on the right track. But then when we are in encounters, what do I do if a battle that I wanted to take the majority of the session, they're rolling crit after crit and are just taking this thing down? How do I deal with that? Am I going to be one of those people that, maybe adds some hit points to make it last just a little bit longer? Or am I going to be one of those people that's like, well, they are doing really, really, really well this time around, so do I just let them have this one and then figure out something else to add toward the end? And honestly, I feel like that's something that I'm going to have to be in game to really understand, because from the title, this is my first time. I don't know a lot about it other than what I've seen. I've seen people DM. I've had people DM for me, but I've never been in that position. And honestly, I've never wanted to know what my DM has done to make things either harder or easier for us, because I feel like it kind of takes away from my personal enjoyment of creating this story. Going off of time management, I also have to worry about keeping certain players on the right track, making sure they don't get distracted, making sure they don't get so hung up on something that they can't see past it when it means literally nothing. I don't want to throw something at them and then be like, you search this body and you find a necklace with a symbol on it, and then them freak out because, oh, what's this symbol? Does it have something to do with this? Should we be looking for the people with the symbol? Does it have some sort of religion? Is it something that or some sort of cult or something? No, it's just a necklace. So how do you deal with that? Is it something where you're like, oh, well, roll to see if you know anything more about it? No, it's just a necklace. Or do you let them just think that that's going to be something important? And as long as it's not taking away from them actually going down the storyline, letting them think whatever they want to about it. And again, all of this, I feel like, is something you pick up in the moment of. You don't know going into it how you're going to react to something. You just kind of deal with it and move along. I also know that I'm going to have to remember that even if a player rolls high on something, it doesn't mean that they're actually going to find anything. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to find anything. A player can roll an investigation check of a room and roll an 18 or even a nat 20, and like there's nothing in there for them to find. And that's okay. People can get mad about it, but you don't have to come up with something if there's nothing in there. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't occasionally throw them something. You know, maybe they find a hidden, healing potion or a small trinket that maybe gives them a little boost on their AC or something. But it goes back to that keeping them on the right track. If they find something that they didn't before, is that going to make them think that there's something more to whatever they just found? Maybe? I don't know. We're going to find out though. This whole DMing thing really is just throw yourself to the wolves and hope for the best. You'll learn as you go, and we'll see what happens. Like, I feel like that is the quintessential thing about being a DM, especially being a first-time DM. You just kind of pick things up and figure it out as you go along. You pick up, if you're like me and you've watched, a couple different people DM, whether it be your home DM or someone like Matt Mercer or Ivan Van Norman or Deborah Ann Woll, you kind of pick up things here and there from them. I know in our home game we've picked up a couple things from Critical Role, things that they do, because it's something that, number one, several of us were used to because we had been watching for so long before actually playing, and number two, it's just something that we liked. We liked that home role, so we did it. But at the same time, I myself am fairly new to Dungeons & Dragons and RPGs in general. I have played one other RPG, which was Fantasy Age, which was a very, very, very simplified version. It definitely didn't have a lot of choices and was very straightforward, but it was good. It was a good starting one. It's a good starting to get us ready for jumping into Dungeons and Dragons. I don't have all of these spells or these rules memorized. There are things I'm going to have written down. I'm going to have to say, you know what? Hold up. Let me look at the way that spell is written. Let me look at how this works. Let me look at how this thing in your class works so I can understand it a little better. And that's okay. I don't have to be a master at any of this. I just have to want to put on a good story and want my players to have fun. Honestly, want them to outsmart me and surprise me and challenge me. That, I think, is the purpose of it, right? If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button below. We would really appreciate it, and it really, really helps us out. Until next time, bye!